I have good news and I have bad news. Welcome to HVRV Lifestyle. We're on October 1st, 2023, and it's time to update you on what's going around in the RV world. Boy, do we have some interesting things to talk about. Just make sure you watch the entirety of this video because no matter where you are in your RV journey, you might miss a key piece of information. We're not going to do a lot of big fancy edits. I put it in cinematic mode so it doesn't look so dirty in the background. I have a stuffy nose, a throat, and I'm wearing sunglasses. So as the Blues Brothers would say, let's hit it. Bad news first. Every year in Indiana, they do a dealer expo to show them everything that's new. I do that. That's actually sarcasm there. The tough part about where the factories are in their journey is they have shot themselves in the foot, metaphorically. What they did was they went on this big social media run where they were promoting that they made all these amazing upgrades to their full lineup of RVs. Now, the truth is majority of the time, a manufacturer is going to change little things during year model changes. And then every couple of years, they freshen things up and change the interior. That's about as far as they go. On the other hand, they will add a floor plan or two. Sometimes they'll add a segment. For example, there's two manufacturers that went from small off-road travel trailers to off-road park models. Interesting concept. But a lot of times, just like everything else in the world, if it's successful, let's duplicate it. Just like most people try to duplicate Mr. Beast on YouTube or Josh the RV Nerd, the RV business does the same thing. Now, the reason why it was a disaster is because there was no moving the RV factories forward. There was no way that factories were going to stay fired up to be able to produce more inventory because they don't have the orders. In fact, it's embarrassing to say, but a lot of heads of factories are getting together in the next couple of days to find out if they should just shut down for 3 months between Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day. Which to me, sidebar, would probably be a very smart thing so dealers can get through their 2023 inventory. Speaking of, because there wasn't these dramatic changes, dealers said, okay, we'll put a timeout and we're not going to order any more 2024 inventory in bulk. We'll place some orders as we sell units off our lot. That means for you, the consumer, the bad news that 2024s are going to be very scarce and hard to find, especially in floor plans you may be interested in. However, because there isn't a lot of upgrades and differences like they promoted on social media, the good news for you is that dealerships across the country have made the decision to drop their pants on pricing on 2023s. So you can get amazing deals. Let me put it this way, like if Vanguard and BlackRock walked into most of these dealers and saw the profit margin that they were making, that small little profit margin, they would throw up in their mouth. Pretty much, okay? Pardon me. So right now is a really good time to buy if you're gonna do something in the fall or winter. If you're gonna do something between October and January, so October of 23 to January of 24, you're gonna get a heck of a deal. Now the downside and the bad news for you when it comes to the dealers dropping their drawers on 2023s is it devalues your used inventory, your used piece, even more than it already has. This is very common and has happened in the car business a couple of times since middle of last year. But let's use a car as an example. Let's use a truck as an example. So you went and bought a 2021 Ford F-250, fully loaded, and you spent 25 grand over sticker on it. So let's say you paid 125 grand as an example. And then you find out today that a new 2023, same trim, Same everything truck is now going for $75,000 brand new. What does that do to the 2021's, well, used value? Now, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments section. But I believe that's a pretty fair evaluation of what occurs when you start selling new inventory for a lot less money than you used to. It devalues your used inventory. Now, that being said, the good news for you is because the profit margins are so small, it will be easier for you to trade in your upside down piece and do it with less cash than you would have had to do it a year ago or even 6 months ago. I'm gonna repeat that one more time, just in a little different way, okay? So if you are upside down in your trade or in your current unit, and you've had a tough time selling it because you owe more than what it's worth, it actually is going to be easier for you now to trade it in with minimal cash in order to get out of it. And that's because the profit margin on the newer units that are on the dealership ground are extremely small. So that gives room for the bank to be able to roll some of that negative equity into the next loan. So that's good news. Now, for some of you that, oh no, it's only about trade value, trade value, trade value. If I can't get what I owe, if I can't get my payoff, I don't want to do anything about it. I don't want to be upside down. That's like me going and buying a Honda Civic tomorrow for 25 grand on a dealer lot and expect 4 years later to still get 25 grand for it. It just isn't going to happen, right? What happened during COVID, where people got more than what they even paid for their older rigs, is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It just isn't going to happen anymore. Now, that all being said, I have some more good news for you. And that more good news is that RV parts are becoming more accessible. Because you, the consumer, have gotten back down to normal spending habits in this industry, parts have become more and easier to access. Not every part, but a lot of the parts that we need, like air conditioners, a lot of the refrigerators. There are exceptions to that because I have 3 RV refrigerator manufacturers that have told me they're 6 months out from getting anything. But for the most part, a lot of your hitches, a lot of your appliances are easily accessible to get parts for. Now, that doesn't mean they get overnighted and 2-dayed in. No, it's the normal 2-3 weeks to get parts still shipped to the dealership or to the service center. But it's way better than 3 or 4 months, wouldn't you agree? Because I remember when I got back into the retail side of this back in May, it was almost virtually impossible to get things as simple as a circuit board for a hot water heater. Now we're having an easier time getting those circuit boards. So that's some really good news, especially for folks that want to continue to camp in their 10-year-old rig or 8-year-old rig. You know, the parts are available if you have a problem with the water heater or the furnace or the air conditioner or the refrigerator. And that's very exciting. Pardon me 1 second. Now for some bad news. The bad news is that you're gonna get to a point where RV parks are going to become very limited on the West Coast. And what I mean by that is riding season is coming, all right? And there's like a place called Dumont Dunes that's in California. So if you're from California, Nevada, Arizona, you know where this place is. The entire area got washed out by a storm. So you're gonna have like Glamis and other desert riding destinations are gonna get more packed than they already normally are because you eliminated the third busiest, third most favorite riding spot and fall winter camping spot in California because it's right on the Nevada border, right behind Baker. You have accessibility 5-6 hours each way, or some major cities like Las Vegas, Barstow, Hesperia, San Bernardino, Riverside, Los Angeles. These are all riding areas that are within a good distance, an easy driving distance for most folks. And on top of that, it's right near state line, Prim state line. So if you want to go gamble at a casino, boom, it's right there. So it's going to get really tough. You also have a lot of these big, huge campgrounds that have snowbird activity. I just found out from my local people here in Pahrump, Nevada, that they have sold out 90% of the RV spots for October, November, and December to snowbirds already. I mean, they're practically, the entire city is sold out because snowbirds are already making their plans to come down to places like Palm Springs, Cathedral City. Good. I bet you Texas is packed. New Mexico is going to get packed. You're going to have a lot of areas that snowbirds go to just get absolutely drenched in people. So it's going to get tougher and tougher to do your fall and winter camping. So make sure that overall you are going to book your stuff in advance and maybe do stuff that's a little different. For example, for a lot of you California campers, maybe this year look into Cachuma Lake. If you're an Arizona person, maybe instead of going to the Colorado River, maybe look into going into Idaho, maybe southern Idaho. There's a lot of great places to go up there. If you're in Northern California, maybe you go up to a place like Klamath Falls or Chillicothe, Oregon, rather than going to Tahoe. So there's a lot of things you might want to consider, like instead of doing the same thing you were doing, years prior, maybe change it up this year so that way you have the opportunity to still have that peace and quiet rather than massive crowds that are starting to gather and make their adjustments and their appointments because of weather-related conditions in some of the other spots of the country. Well, that's it for today. If you want more information about how loans work in the RV business, click on that video right there.